So yeah, let's talk updates. Let's talk 2022 and beyond. There's been some really cool stuff that's gone on in the last little while, and so I thought we'd get that out of the way and kind of start out with that. Oh, I got to push the button there. So yeah, we'll talk about kind of what we've done recently, what we're working on, what's next. We've got two little videos called the customer sign up video and the questions and answer video. Now, I haven't actually put voices over on these two videos, but the idea is I wanted to create kind of generic videos that you guys can use for yourselves to sign up your customers. I know that if you create an account for your customer, it's actually a little bit confusing about how that account can get accessed. And it took a ton of trial and error. And it took a number of people actually pointing out that there was a problem with signing up their customers before I kind of figured it out. So it's a Shopify issue. It's kind of a little idiosyncrasy, but it's actually not too bad once you kind of figure out what's going on. Just the error messaging is so confusing because it looks like they don't have an account, even though they do. And I think they could do some things to improve that. And then we'll talk about our next thought stream, which I'm really excited about because we're going to be doing stuff on emails next week. And we're going to leverage, my last decade of email management experience, as well as some of the cool things that only Managed Comics adds to your Shopify. And with the recent announcement from Shopify of supporting MailChimp, I think this is going to be really, really great. So yeah, let's get right into it. Let's talk about our recent updates. I'm going to go full screen on the slides. So we post all of our updates to a thing called the changelog, and I try and send out an email. I just noticed that about 50% of the people don't open those update emails, so you're probably not seeing them. This just might be a little way kind of to push you towards our changelog when we change things. So our most recent changes, I think, were launched on Monday, if that's the 17th. I feel like it is. And we've got stuff going live tonight as well. We made a ton of enhancements over the holidays. And then there was Christmas and then New Year's and then Ukrainian New Year's. So we had a bunch of time kind of where we were doing less work. But still, things were getting done behind the scenes. I don't think I stopped updating data at all in the last 60 days. So things are getting better all the time. Let's talk about a few things that we changed. The biggest one, of course, was customer orders and changing the flow. So we created that to stop sending orders out every time pulls were done, which were happening multiple times in a week. You need to trigger the orders yourself when you create customer orders, because this is going to be different for every person. If it's a local pickup, you would create the order just before you kind of process it on the point of sale. If it's a shipped thing, then you'll do it weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly, depending on the kind of frequency of the pickup. So what does weekly mean? That's kind of up to you. Weekly is once a week. It could be Wednesdays, maybe it's Thursdays. It really depends on when you're processing those orders. Bi-weekly is every 2 weeks for some people. For some people like me, it's twice a month. That's what I mean when I say bi-weekly, because sometimes there's 5 weeks in a month. Monthly, of course, is once a month, and you can choose whether that's the first Monday, or Wednesday, the last Wednesday. Personally, when I ran a store, we used whatever week the previous catalog came out, as that was going to be when your invoices were invoiced. And I always tried to make sure that it happened before the fiscal end of the month. But that was just kind of how I ran it. So we don't automatically do this because every single store I've ever talked to has a different way of invoicing shipped products. So it would be impossible for us to create rules for everyone. And also, that's not really what Managed Comics is about, right? We're not about dictating to you how you should run your store. So if you want to post your monthlies on the first week or the middle of the month, whatever it is, that's kind of up to you. So that's why we created this. BD Cosmos says, let me show first of all, Let me get my face in there. And then we'll show Jillian says, I tried to create my first order this week, but it seems stuck looping. Meant to try again with like my own pull. It probably isn't. I'll need to take a quick look at that. What actually happens, Jillian, is there's multiple things that are happening behind the scenes. It may be creating products that aren't already created, but something is happening. I would take a look again at that. It should work. I mean, we've got tons of people using it, so it does work. I know that for sure. So we also added pulled items displayed on the customer page. So my subscriptions now has a pulled orders item. It didn't have it before because the old flow didn't need a separate pulled orders thing, because it was actually showing you basically every time that your order was kind of adjusting, it would show. Now that you're not invoicing orders until your cycle is up, or if it's a local pickup, you have to create an invoice right before you do the transaction. I know this is causing some problems because there's Shopify emails that go out as soon as an order is billed, which is weird when you're at the cash register. We do have maybe a fix for it. It's not an us problem, it's a Shopify problem. Shopify used to allow you to disable the draft order emails. They removed that like late last year at some point. We think we have a different way of doing it, not even using, it'll be using a different type of draft order, which I just found out about recently. You can actually request a payment, and then that changes the flow a little bit. We will be adding emails to this particular flow, to the subscriptions flow, soon. We did so much changes on ratio covers. I can't even tell you how many changes happened on ratio covers, but it seems to be pretty consistent now since the changes we've done. My problem is I looked at a few publishers and saw that they were doing things in a very consistent way. And so I just assumed that everyone was doing things in a consistent way. And then Marvel. So Marvel doesn't do this stuff consistently. So we've added like consistent wording at the end of it. So it's 1 in XX ratio variant is now on all ratios. It makes some of them redundant. Like DC stuff tends to say, 5 in 10 Billy Bob Thornton cover. Now it will also say 1 in 10 ratio variant. It's doubly redundant, but at least it's at least it's always there in the same way. On the admin side, we also changed it so that it displays in brackets, bracket 1:50 or 1:10 or 1: whatever it is at the end of a title. There is one place where that's not in our info, and we're going to be fixing that this week. It's a very small place, but we'll talk about it in a little bit. We also added the ability for you on the store side to disable ratio variants. So we got this request from a number of people that they wanted to be able to hide anything that's 1 in X over, but still place those orders through the admin side. So if somebody comes in and says, I'd like the 1 in 10, you can still say, sure, Bob, here you go. You can get the 1 in 10. But this means that on the front end, those aren't necessarily visible, which a lot of people want. Doesn't affect open order, so 1-to-1 ratios are not affected. And like I said, it's still available on the admin level. In the polls report page, we have changed so much stuff and really added a lot of things. And this is based on comments that people have given us over the last little while. The number one thing is adding the publisher and the distributor. Pretty much everywhere we add the publisher now. On the CSV, we've added the distributor. That way you can just see, you can do some sorting by just the lunar stuff that you have to pull, or just the diamond stuff, or just the Penguin Random House. I know those things come in at wildly different times. And depending on how your process is of processing those things in through the system, you may do stuff, one day, another stuff another day, and then kind of want to do it all at once, or you may need to do it one at a time. So this kind of helps out with that stuff. Personally, I love CSVs because I can slice and dice the data however I want. And if we were to present things on the front end, it would be the way that I want it and not necessarily the way you want it. So I just like the idea of being able to download CSVs. Julian asks where the CSV is. So this CSV for your polls report is on the most recent polls by date report. And if you click on the upper left-hand corner, there'll be a info that says download CSV. Up next, downloading all subscription files, including inactive subscriptions. So on the customer list page, we will talk about some big changes coming to it soon. But we did a quick fix to display both active and inactive products on the customer's list page. So again, if you go to the upper right-hand corner of the customer list page, there is a download CSV, and this is all this information. So it will tell you all the titles. It will tell you which cover they have pulled, fulfill with main cover if not available, and the publisher start and status of the titles. We implemented sorting on initial and FOC orders. This caused a lot of problems, which we didn't anticipate. The way that Shopify does the sorting caused some problems with downloads and with, I think it was like actually uploads and caching, which got really confusing. So we fixed those problems quickly. But it's just interesting that when we make any change now, we have to do full what's called regression testing, where we test it against all kinds of things that already work. So any change we make now requires us to make sure that everything we did before didn't get broken in these things. Let me pop up a little question here. So Variant Edition asks, any chance for DC products to be set to universal? I use Lunar as default, but wondering if universal setting could set the FOC for those books early to hit universal's deadline on those. I would love to do whatever you would like me to do for universal. I'd be happy to. All we need is for universal to play ball. Universal stop answering emails from me. They have not been. They said that they were going to create CSV files for their invoices. There's been crickets about that. So yeah, for sure. Yeah. Julian from BD Cosmos says, I've been asking for months. It's on the to-do list. Yeah, I would love to get the info from Universal so that we can add it to our stuff. Until we do, though, there's not much point in kind of doing some Universal stuff and not the others. So we also changed price on the product check-in. So now you can actually, for ratioed variants or even like hardcovers that you need to charge something different based on the price that was listed on it, you can change that on the check-in. Adding the item code to pre-order screen. So it's just a small little thing, but we added the item code, which is smart enough to know which distributor you've selected for the product. Sorry, jumping back to Variant Edition's question one more time with Universal. The other thing is that they have told us that they're going to start using the UPC codes as the main input code. Again, we're just waiting for more guidance on that from them before we change anything in our system. But I'm happy to do that. So hopefully we'll get those things solved soon. We whack-a-moled a ton of different data issues. We're always updating the data. FOCs finally seem to be mostly accurate. Thank goodness. New releases are much closer than ever before. We're improving the data constantly. And sorry, Madness Comics asks Universal. This is a Canadian problem. It's not a US problem. We have another distributor in Canada called Universal who distributes Lunar products, which is a big deal for us because we get charged duty on a lot of things in the States. We're continuing to implement more Penguin Random House data and ingesting that stuff in, which means we'll be getting things even more accurate over the next little while. The big thing that we'll get from Penguin Random House is solicitation updates and accurate titles, like Strange being called Strange and not Doctor Strange. We still have a couple issues with weird characters, and we'll be working on those in the next little bit. So what are we working on? Well, we're updating. We've got this new feature in the check-in process, which is when you have things that we're missing information on, if you put in the UPC or ISBN code, we'll do our best to find if we already have it in the database. 9 times out of 10 we do. So a lot of these lunar codes in particular, this is a December 2017 DC code, which of course Lunar didn't actually have that product. So because Lunar wasn't around in 17. So we actually do have all the information. We just don't have it tagged as that particular thing. So if you put your UPC code in there, we'll go and fetch all the information. You don't even have to do any of that work. It's all out there. This is in final QA. So I was doing some regression testing earlier because this touches so many different things, including product creation, creation in our GeekFetch database, and of course Shopify creation. That's troubling. So I had to really test the heck out of this, but I'm feeling pretty comfortable with it, and we'll put this to promotion. You have Strange by an unknown publisher. I know why that is. It's probably got a different. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, we'll have to take a look at that right away. Hey, when you guys see something like that, let me know immediately. Just send a help at Manage Comics. Sometimes I don't see all the data issues that you guys are going to see. I don't know, 3,000 or 4,000 end users using Manage Comics, and there's one of me. So if anybody tells you something like that, or you individually see it, let us know and we'll fix it. I know exactly what the problem is. Didn't even clue into it until just now. So yeah, please let us know. Yeah, I was mentioning the ratio numbers. So they are missing on the current customer activity screen, which we'll get that fixed in the next day or so. It's a small issue, but it's easily fixed as well. Then we are going to update the customer list page. And this is because customer lists are great with stores that have fewer than 1,000 customers in Shopify, but more than 1,000 customers in Shopify. The way that we do the call, it really caches, and it causes huge problems for people looking at the customer list page. Stores with more than 300 subscription customers load really slowly, and then it's almost unusable, that page, the way it is now. So we're going to make some major changes to it, make it so that you basically see the all customers page on the customers list, and then you will go through to an individual list. Now here is where the cool stuff happens. So not only are we showing your active subscriptions, but we now show your inactive subscriptions for the first time. And we'll also have pre-orders on this page. It doesn't mean the customer pre-orders tab is going away, because I think it serves an important and totally different purpose, which is just to see everything that is open in terms of like one-off pulls. But this way you'll see everything that Luke Cage has on order. We're going to simplify the adding an item as well, because here it doesn't matter whether that item is a pre-order or subscription. It's just a little simpler to have it on one page. Yeah, and so displaying inactive subscriptions. Let's say that Decorum was on this list, which it would be. So an inactive subscription is a product which comes from Martin at Apotheosis. I think that's Martin. It could be Ivan. What defines an inactive subscription? For us, an inactive subscription is one of two things. One is something that somebody's deleted, so they've removed it from their list. It becomes inactive. We never completely delete something, because this way you have an audit trail. So somebody comes in and says, hey, I'm not getting Action Comics anymore. You say, oh, it's because you removed it from your list on July 22nd of 2021. And they're like, oh, okay, there we go. I'd like to get it again. So then it would become an active subscription. The other way is Decorum's a good example. A book that hasn't come out in the last 3 months or won't come out in the next 3 months becomes inactive in our things, because otherwise people's lists would become overwhelmingly huge and mostly useless. So by creating things as inactive, keeps it on the list in case it comes back, which we assume Decorum will come back, but doesn't make it kind of part of the ongoing stuff that you have to deal with. Second part of that question. Can the system tell us who hasn't purchased their books? Not right now, but that is definitely on the list of things. It's actually one of the major projects that is along with our initial and FOC orders. B covers. So this is mostly a data issue. We need a good solution. There's a field called issue sequence number, which indicates a cover. So it's a base 0, meaning the A cover is 0, B is 1, C is 2, etc. Some publishers, hello Marvel, don't match this with their UPC codes. So we have some troubles. So this is an example of a 1 in 25 variant that is supposedly the C cover, but according to the UPC, it's actually the B cover. So depending on how we're calculating this could show up as a B cover. We noticed this week. Comic Warriors actually brought this up to us, that Amazing Spider-Man B covers were actually the 1 in 25 variant this week, which is terrible. So we're trying to figure out a good solution. This is actually, I'm not sure what it is. It may be just you can't have multiple alternate cover subscriptions for Marvel books, which is terrible. We are ready to add more data from Penguin Random House, and we're actually going to start treating them as the master data source in regards to solicitation info. There's some problems with this, just as you guys have pointed out, that we've got a rogue strange in the database. That is because Penguin Random House doesn't include some information on their files. That should not have actually shown up in our database. It should have been flagged for what we call enrichment, because it doesn't have the right info to show up. So yeah, this is kind of an ongoing problem, and it's as much a data problem as it is a coding problem. So what are our big things next? The first thing is going to be an edit to the order screen. This just needs to get done really quickly because there's two different use cases. Customer wants to leave items as reserved, or a customer cannot pick up items at this time because they're not on sale yet. They're outside the street date, but they've been pulled. In the old days, this was simple because you would get your books on Tuesday and you'd pull them, and then Wednesday people would come in. Now you can get your books on Friday for the following Wednesday. Like it's gotten a little ridiculous. So we have to come up with a quick solution for this. I don't anticipate this being very hard. It's just going to be a series of checkboxes with an additional field of the pull date. So by default, it'll be sorted by pull date and then by title name. And we'll probably have sorting options, so you could change it to be title and then pull date. Quick fix, I think it will make a big difference. Enhanced initial ordering and FOC ordering. So this is a multi-phased approach that we're going to take to improving our initial orders and FOC orders. We're going to start out by showing full details on products, including covers, solicited infos, and notes. And then we'll have sorting options for you to sort by distributor, publisher, title, new releases, as in like new number ones and things like that. Variant covers, all that good stuff will be as part of the sorting. And then you'll be able to see subscriptions and add the store quantity in order to get a total. Our phase 2 to this will be to add previously sold numbers, which means we're going to have to get information from Shopify nightly, and we're going to store it on our side. And then we'll probably have like a refresh button so that if you need to refresh while you're doing your orders, you can push a little button that will alert you when the information, because we can only make 2 calls a second. We'll have to make multiple calls to your database to see what was sold. I'm hoping that we can scope that to only the last 24 hours so that we can just kind of do a diff on when the last time was that we pulled it. We have a number of UK customers, and there's a couple things we need to do for them really quickly, which include pricing, distribution, and other changes. As simple as the pound symbol instead of the dollar symbol, and as complicated as adding diamond codes to all DC product. So, yay. Shopify point of sale enhancements. So we're going to build our own draft orders app. I've got this out to tender to a couple different places, and I get back ridiculous answers. We're going to integrate the Managed Comics and draft orders applications together. So Managed Comics will have its own tab, which it has here. You see Managed Comics QA. When you click on that, it will go to the customer orders thing where you'll be able to edit the order that you're about to bring into Shopify. And then the other thing you'll be able to do is change customer lists on the app. But we're going to it'll be super simplified. There will not be a lot of things that you can do on the Shopify app. Just because we want it to be things that are touch enabled, and that's going to take developer resources to touch enable different things. So yeah, this will be simple, super simple. And hopefully have a line on solving the double inventory issue. So as you know, when you create a product in Managed Comics, it brings it over to Shopify. And if you create Action Comics 1040, there's Action Comics 1040 and then Action Comics 1040 bracket subscription, which are just the quantities that are available for your subscribers. It's a pain in the neck. It's kind of the best of all bad situations that we have right now. A question we've gotten a number of times is like, Batman Superman World's Finest is out now, so people are going to want to add it to everybody who used to have Batman Superman. So instead of going through 40 different customers and adding the title, it'd be a lot better if you could go to the title and add 40 customers, because it would be click on the name of the title, add customer 1, add customer 2, add customer 3, add customer 4. We'll put some logic in, so if they're already on the title, you can just kind of, it'll say already added kind of thing. But yeah, this is a huge quality of life thing, which I think will be relatively easy to pull off. Famous last words. And then this week, I'm going to update the guide because our Managed Comics guide has gotten kind of stale. I'll add all the December, January updates and a new quick start area, which I'm going to launch by the end of next week. Simultaneously, I'll update the online help because some of that has gotten a little bit out of sync, I've noticed. So we'll get all that stuff taken care of. And now, my new customer video. So I've got 2 different videos. Kind of the first one is setting up your account. So it's a simple one that will just talk about how to set up your account. And then the second one is what can you do with subscriptions. I'll post these by the end of tomorrow, actually probably end of tonight on YouTube. And then I will add them to a new getting started section on help.managedcomics.com tomorrow. I'll show you one of them. I'm not sure what's going to happen. I'm probably not, because I don't have voiceover or anything, but this is the idea of it. So I think you can still hear me. So the idea here will be there'll be a voiceover explaining exactly what this is doing. So, if I come here and I can't find my account, the last thing that I'll want to do is this part here, create an account. If I try and create an account, I'm going to find out that the account has already been created. Terrible wording. Adjust the following. Then you activate your account, and boom, you're ready to go. And your subscriptions are pre-populated if your store has already created this. So that's one of them. Could you guys hear me, by the way? Can you just give me a quick thumbs up if you could hear my voice over top of that as I was showing it? I know the stream is probably a couple seconds behind, so this may take a second. I've got to remember to super hydrate before I do a thought stream in the future. Okay, cool. I'll show you the second one. Looks like I can add my little voice. Yeah. So with this one, it's just going to be a basic kind of, what can you do with Managed Comics? Well, you can go to your products. You can search for a specific vendor. You can go to a title. I timed this out in my head when I did this, and it actually worked. So I can subscribe to Batman White Knight, the main cover or the cover. I can pre-order a one-off like Batman Phase Clan, which, by the way, I know that the alternate covers aren't showing up on that. If I want to pre-order a 1 in 25 variant, I can do that. There's a process, an approval process in those variants, and so I have to accept whatever the store has given me. And at the end of this, now this just becomes one of the things in my subscription list. We'll also talk about the different types of things that you can order, including apparel and whatever your store has set up to allow. Graphic novels, you can sort things by different publishers and everything, and FOC. So I'll explain the concept of the FOC because some people still don't understand that it's kind of the last call for things. So yeah, I've got a little script to finish writing today, and then that's how you do things. I like this. Jillian says, it would be really good for those how-to videos. A second voiceover in French. I like it. I'll send the video off to you, Jillian, and send you my script. And if you guys want to take that on, that'd be awesome. I can definitely make that available. And if you can rope Rachel into that, that'd be great. All right. Let's see. Do we have any questions from anybody? I think. Where am I here? Oh yeah, I'm going to just talk about next time the email. So if anybody's got questions right now, this is a good time to talk about our questions, talk things over. I saw Martin said, ordering books right from the POS. So ordering books, I'm not sure what you mean by that. Martin, ordering books right from the point of sale? I'd love to know. Let's see. Anything else? Yeah, I'm sure there's more data issues. Any other questions here? So Julian couldn't find the CSV. He found it, but it should be more clear to what it does. Yeah, I think we need to go through and change some of the verbiage on things. Okay, Challengers asks, what's up with the initial order functionality? So we're working on kind of the final evolution of what that's going to look like. It's messy. It's a big project, and it's going to take us a little bit longer than what we had hoped for. But we will make that good. Nisha from Comic Warriors says, can a customer order multiple pre-order items? Have customers? Oh yeah, for sure they can order multiple items. Yeah, they can pre-order, multiple things. They can change their quantity for sure. Yeah, that's no problem. Aubrey says, for stores that have multiple locations, will there be a way to prioritize where inventory goes? Yes, Aubrey, we're actually changing. We are changing the multi-location backend. So there will be different, I think there's like multiple different columns where you'll select which ones you want to move things to. A lot of people have said that they actually like using Stocky for that. So what they want is just the ability to get it into one location. So I think for multi-location, we'll do something where you have the ability to kind of override it. For now, I'd suggest check out Stocky and use that for your initial prioritization of multi-location. It looked like you said you could order books through Managed Comics for customers from the POS. Yeah, so with the point of sale, we'll be able to, so this is upcoming. We're talking like probably a month and a half from now, 6 weeks. Our goal is to build our own version of the point of sale app. Right now there's like a draft orders app that is kind of crappy. Because it's not actually tracking things properly. And so I've actually looked at a bunch of different places to talk about it. The idea will be that it will have kind of the primary interface will be the customer orders so that you can move orders into your point of sale right from the Managed Comics tab. And then the secondary use case will be if somebody comes in and says, hey, I want you to add a title to my list, you can say, sure, I'll add Saga to your list right now. And you just click on the tab and go and add something to a person's list. So that's what I was talking about there. This is very dangerous. Madness says, skin boxes are normally sold in bundles of 5. Is it possible for Managed Comics to give our customers the ability to order just one of the boxes instead of the bundle of 5? Not sure what that is in particular. I think I know what you're saying. It's like the case lots of action figures. Unfortunately, we only have the data we have. So you would have to, how would you do that? I guess you would change that order out for whatever the individual SKU is. And I'm not even sure if we have the ability to like remove case lots from things. Actually, we would. We do have case information, so we could probably remove that stuff. Breaking it out into an individual item, I'm not sure how to do that right now. We'll have to think about this. Nisha says, if we delete the drafts, is there a way to send books back to inventory? Yes, actually, we... so right now it goes into a kind of a holding place. In reports, it's like held back books, I think. But that's on my... Actually, I didn't have that on the list of things, which is weird. That's on the list to have the ability to allocate those books back into your inventory and not create them as part of the duplicate bracket subscriptions, but put them on the primary thing. Any other questions here? So Julian says that he's still having problems doing his pulls. So Julian, you and I will talk later and try and figure out what's going on. I'll log in and take a look and see where things are going. What usually, one order, 29 titles, what usually happens is I've seen like weird null items showing up on some people's invoices, and that's 9 times out of 10 where the problem is. But it's troubling that it's not giving you a good error message, so we'll take a look at that. Yeah, I understand that the problem with the bundles is that it would be a problem to do as a pre-order. Yeah, and maybe those things just aren't available as pre-orders, I guess. Apotheosis says, one of the challenges we have sharing new books to order from Managed Comics on our social media is when we share the link, the image of the title doesn't appear. Our store logo does. Any way to change that? That's a great question. I know exactly what the file is that's not showing. I'm going to write that down as a thing to look at. I'm not allowed to code, but sometimes I jump in and do something like this anyway, because I think I know exactly what this is. That is the metadata. So short answer is it may not be easy because so when you go to manage your store name /pages /manage comics, and everything is off that, we only create one page. It's called Manage Comics, and that page kind of fakes everything else with JavaScript. So I'm not sure if we can do it, but we'll see if we can. I'm sure there's a way. Yeah, BD Cosmos agrees. He says, yes, there is. We download the image separately and manually add it to the post. Yeah, that would work. But there's probably a way that we can kind of override what the browser is doing and do that. Geez, I wonder if there's any important information on this wall that you guys can see. Yeah, that's actually interesting. Comics Pro February 26th will be at the Comics Pro event. We're going to have a virtual booth. I don't know how that's going to work, but it'll be fun. So we'll be there for, I think, the Thursday and the Friday. That's February 26th, I believe. And we're doing a live presentation on the Saturday, I think, a 15-minute presentation. Yeah, I think that will wrap us up for the day. If anybody else has got any questions, yeah, this was fun. So like I said, by the end of today, you'll have those 2 videos that I'll post. Tomorrow, I'm going to send out a nice big email just talking about all the things we talked about today. And it will also have some other information about what we're working on and when that stuff will come up. Aubrey says, with damages or shortages, it prioritizes oldest customers first. Is there a way we could be able to select who gets the books? Yeah, so it prioritizes who added the title first. I totally understand what you are asking for, and short answer is not right now. That is a future us problem that we will look at. I totally know why this is an issue, and I understand what you're trying to do. The problem with all these things is that it starts to complicate the system, and we're really trying to create like a simple system that doesn't require a ton of customization. And the reason that I say this is because we'll build something like this, and let's say we have 500 stores, 5 of them will use the feature. So like right now we're at the point where we're trying to build the most features that are available to the most people. And this is one of those things that like probably the hack is to put a sticky in somebody's bag saying pull for next time and move the book to another thing. So yeah, I get what the request is and I understand it and it makes sense. This is where we're going to be doing. So once we get through the current list of things, which includes the point of sale changes and stuff like that, we're going to get back to an old trick that I used to do with Managed Comics 1.0, was we'll create a list of all the available changes that could be made, and we'll have you guys vote on them. And then what we do is we, on the back end, figure out what the effort to do something is, what the value of it is based on how much you guys are asking for it, and kind of we do a return on investment sort of calculation to figure out what we should build next. So yeah, for sure, we'll definitely look into that as one of the things. I know it's on my list. I think I've called it Sophie's choice of shortages. Paul says, why do some titles not show in the ad subscription window when they are releasing in the next month or so? What's the filtering being done? Subscription window. Yeah, it's all based on final order cutoff. So if you click on, as Jillian says, click on, I think it says older issues or older titles or older products, they'll show up then. And the reason is to kind of simplify that first thing based on things that you can order on the FOC. Is there a way to remove books that cannot be ordered and pass the FOC date? Is there a way to remove books that cannot be ordered and have passed the FOC date? So like on somebody's list, yeah, you could just go in and just delete their special order on that thing, and then it would be gone. That would probably be the easiest way to do it. And the system should not pull subscription for somebody who's added the product after the FOC. So that's kind of just a built-in thing. Also, Apotheosis wanted to say thank you for all the hard work. My pleasure. This is actually a lot of fun. It was not so fun in December, but it's because we had too many things going on. So we really pulled back on onboarding new stores a little bit so that we could focus on the last two major improvements, which are initial orders, FOC orders, and the point of sale integration. When we get those two things completely done so that I'm super happy with them, then we'll kind of go back to adding new stores. Okay, we do use that. Just want to know if there was based on FOC, maybe a future option, choose FOC or release date. Yeah, there's a lot of filtering things I think we need to do for sure. Nisha says, oh, what? You guys are awesome, very responsive. Thank you so much. I've been feeling really bad because we haven't been responding to emails as quickly as I'd like to lately. We've been focusing a lot on kind of building out the next few projects. And really, the FOC initial order thing has consumed all of my time. It's probably the most elaborate thing that we've done so far on the system, and I just want to make sure we get it right. So I think it's going to look good. And of course, the new customers list page that we had to build because it was like I was getting so many error messages every night, and the customer list page is timing out all over the place on big stores. So we really got to get that under control as well. I think that's going to do it for us this week, folks. Thank you so much for your time, and we will chat again next week. Like I said, next week we're going to talk about emails. So we're going to walk through Shopify's emailing messaging system. We'll talk about some tricks and tips for messaging your active subscribers, and we'll show you a few things that we've learned over a decade of doing email marketing. I can even show you some of our own email results, and you'll see examples of kind of how the open rates are affected by different time of day and things. Plus, we'll take your questions as always. And of course, if you don't already have Managed Comics, make sure you go to Managed Comics. We changed the front page. So instead of it saying get on the wait list, it's now get Managed Comics 2. If you go through that link, you're going to get a lot more value than if you just go to Shopify and download it, because we'll also send you out the current version of the guide. We link to the Shopify App Store, and then that puts you on our list, and you'll get a regular progress emails, previews of new features, and all that stuff as well. So make sure you jump on there and get involved. And thank you so much. And we will see you next week.